All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today it's just me and Jose. We got a little bit of some recruiting updates because OU's hosting some more prospects this weekend, and they have a couple this week. We're going to talk about a handful of guys there, and then a kid just got an offer as recording this, which is June 9th. Got an offer today, and he calls OU his dream school in the 2024 class. So we're going to be talking about him and the implications of OU getting him. I feel like if you call a school your dream school and you get that offer, you automatically jump way up. And he's a talented guy, so it's a good day. So, but before we get into it, OU, we just waited till OU was done done winning a national championship. Just had to shout them out. I'm glad that they decided to win. That seventh inning, I felt like took about an hour, but it's worth the wait. I'm glad they got the win. We're getting close to 4,300 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button. Help us out. It's easy. It's free. We know that there's a lot of you that enjoy the channel, or maybe not enjoy, but at least watch us a lot. You might as well subscribe, and then turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live. Well, that'll be coming probably in the next month or so. We'll go for another live session, and we might start having more lives as we get closer to the fall. Find us on social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Apple and Spotify. Everything's linked below. We just hit 1,400 followers on Twitter, so let's get us to 1,500. Just go on there, hit the follow button. It's free there. A lot of good stuff. A lot of recruits tweeting out their recent visit pictures, and we try to do our best to keep up with them. So we're going to start it off today. We're going to be talking about the guy that got offered by Oklahoma today and referred to it as his dream school. It was pretty cool. His name is Eddie. I think it's Eddie Pierre Louis. I might be butchering that name. He's a 2024 four-star, number 271 overall, and number 27 offensive lineman in the class. 6'3", 320 pounds, from Tampa, Florida. Huge guy. He's got, what was it, like 38 offers, I think. Being 6'3", 320 pounds as a 16, 17-year-old kid, I mean, that's impressive. It was a pretty cool tweet that he put out. I don't really know. There's a video of him saying that Oklahoma's the best or something like that. And I don't know if that was him when he was like younger. Because his picture on 247 and the picture of him playing, he's a massive human. I feel like that must have been when he was young, or maybe it's his little brother or something. Maybe I'm just missing something. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, we were talking about it before we started recording. That video made him look a lot younger than not, he's only 16, like you said, but it made him look like he was like 10 or 12. But maybe it was just the angle or the camera lighting, but he is an enormous. He's a man child, 6'3", 230 or 320 at 16 years old. That's a lot of human to be walking around a high school. Imagine what he's going to be like when he's 18, and then even better, imagine what he's going to be like when he's 21 or 22, hopefully getting ready to go into the league. Maybe like 6'3", 6'4", pushing 350. Like, that's going to be a guy that, just because of his sheer size, you're going to want to at least give him a chance on the offensive line. And him saying that Oklahoma is a dream school, like you said, it's got to be a good thing. There's no reason to think that in any way Oklahoma's in a position to not secure his commitment. He is in 2024, so it's not like it's coming up anytime soon, and a lot of things can change. And maybe, NIL is in place still, and hopefully the fact that he's going to be coached by Coach B, Oklahoma, it's not like he's not going to get any NIL at Oklahoma, and hopefully he is one of the first 2024 commits. Maybe soon. I mean, we're starting to see 2024 commits come through, with the quarterbacks for Notre Dame today and CJ Carr, and then Dylan Riola or something like that, sort of 5-star quarterback for Ohio State. So if he really wants to be a Sooner and he just doesn't really find the need to go visit other schools, then maybe we could see that one coming soon. But I mean, this offensive line is going to look scary with how the recruitment looks over this class. And then in 2024, it looks like if Eddie's a sign, then it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, and also another thing is he's a very versatile guy. I mean, for being 320 pounds, he also plays along the defensive line. He played a little there freshman year, and then he played last year. So he's a two-way guy. I don't think he's on the field all the time for the defensive line, but he primarily plays at left guard. He also does shot put, so he does some track and field. So multiple sport athlete. He left guard, along the defensive line, calls OU his dream school. He seems to be, I mean, being at 320 pounds and you be able to play both ways, that's got to say something. I'm pretty sure he played a lot of like interior defensive line, nose tackle and everything else. I mean, for being that size. But I see him projecting as an offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman, whether it's left or right guard. Coach B will be able to move him around and coach him wherever they need him. I would like to see, it's 2024, not that he has to get on campus immediately, but, with him calling OU as his dream school, I would imagine you'll see, I would think a visit would be coming here sometime soon, as long as finances aren't a big deal. I mean, Tampa to OKC or Tampa to Norman can get pricey, especially with the prices the way they are now. But I'd like to see him get on campus here sometime soon, maybe this fall. I think OU's doing another like Champ U barbecue, and it's going to be mainly for 24 and 25 guys, and some 23 guys will be there, I think, next month. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's happening. I'd love to see him make the trip up. And then if you see him make the trip up, I'm going to start to feel really good about his recruitment. And like you said, it's 24, but at the end of the day, you call a school your dream school. And I just feel like it carries a lot of weight. So someone to keep an eye on now on our radar. We have never talked about him, but just saw that today and thought we'd at least talk about that because OU's offering a lot of 24 and 25 guys right now. Not so much 25, but a lot of 24 guys right now. Do you have any thoughts on him, on Eddie, or are we good to move on?
I mean, if he can find a way to get on like a Todd Bowles funded trip so that Troy can come back, that wouldn't be a bad idea for him.
That's true. I don't think Todd Bowles would struggle to buy a few plane tickets and a few hotel rooms.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, it's someone we'll be keeping an eye on, and hopefully we'll learn a little more about, and hopefully get him on campus here pretty soon. So OU, last weekend was a huge weekend, one of the biggest recruiting weekends in, for college football as far as recruiting goes in recent memory. They're having a pretty good recruiting weekend this weekend. It's headline, and I don't know if he's staying all weekend, but he just tweeted out today, Thursday, DJ Lagway. And we've talked about DJ Lagway. He's a 2024 5-star quarterback from Willis, Texas, 6'2", 215 pounds. Like I said, 5-star, number 12 overall prospect, and the number 3 quarterback in the class. Highly, highly coveted and rated. He currently does not, or he did get an offer from Oklahoma the last time he was here. I know, or maybe it wasn't while he was there. I know he just recently got his offer from Oklahoma because Levy was debating on who to offer in the 24 class and who not to offer. Him coming back, he came on campus, I believe it was in March, and now he's coming back on another unofficial visit. What do you think, Jose?
So I think this one is important because not only is he a 5-star quarterback, it's always nice to have one of those, especially early on and throughout a recruiting process. If he can commit even as early as like next fall, that would be probably ideal timing so he can start helping recruit his fellow offensive players in his class. But Lincoln Riley and the Trojans recently offered him, I think it was about a couple of weeks back, and he went on a visit to LA, and it seemed like he came out of that visit very excited. I mean, objectively, Lincoln Riley is still a good quarterback coach, and quarterbacks are excited to play for him no matter where he is. So getting him back on campus not long after that visit, I think that's important and a good thing, especially for Levy. He's got to, at this point, sell the fact that an athletic quarterback like DJ and a guy like Jackson Arnold, both of them are very athletic can throw on the run, but and are very mobile quarterbacks. Like the system that Lebby's going to run is going to be a lot more advantageous for them to show their skill set because of how heavy he runs RPOs. If you watched just one game of Ole Miss last year, you could tell that Matt Corral was constantly in a position to have to make that decision, and he ran the ball quite a bit, even though he wasn't putting up any kind of like Kyler Murray numbers. He was putting his head down and trying, getting a few yards and keeping the ball on those RPO plays. So, hopefully this time this visit helps him solidify his comfort with potentially being a Sooner. And, like I said, I think going into the fall, if Oklahoma's offense looks good, hopefully that's something that would be valuable to him, and he commits, middle of the season, end of the season.
Yeah, and I had to confirm. Yeah, he was on campus for the junior days in March 25th, I believe it was, and he got his offer April 25th, and now he's coming back for his second visit, from my understanding. It might be a third, but I don't think he came up for the spring game. I can't remember, but either way, I'm pretty sure it's his second visit on his own dime. He's been visiting other schools unofficially. I don't think money is an issue. I think his family is able to take him where he needs to go, where he wants to go, to get offers and see campuses. And speaking of recent offers, Clemson also offered him. Looking at his stats last year, he had just shy of 1,600 yards passing, 17 passing touchdowns, 2 picks. But then he also rushed for 715 yards and 6 touchdowns. So you're talking about those RPOs. That's a system that he would excel at and really would showcase his skills. So with Lebby, I feel like it's good. I don't necessarily want to say that he has to prove himself to recruits. I do feel like to some degree that some kids are a little hesitant and they want to make sure that just because Riley left, the offense is still going to be good at Oklahoma, which I believe it will. But whenever you're not a fan and you're kind of an outsider looking in, and it's your 4 or 5 years in college, and you want to make sure everything's going to be good. To some degree, he's probably thinking, I got to see what old Dylan Gabriel will do in that system, because he has an offer to go play for anyone and everyone that he could ever ask for in Lagway. So if he sees Gabriel excel, he might hop on board. I'm not 100% sure, just because, he's going to have an offer to play everywhere. But I think 2024 is going to be the same way what 23 was. It's a race to commit. It's not the Lincoln Riley method where he identifies one and focuses on that one player. I'm going to offer 3 or 4 guys that I think I would be happy with, and whoever pulls the trigger first, they're in. So someone to watch. I would love to get him. I mean, dual threats are always good at Oklahoma. So do you have any thoughts? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, one school, I don't have his offer list pulled up. So, if they haven't offered him, I'm assuming they will soon, is Alabama. 2024 would be pretty much prime time to get someone like that. I think Bryce, if I remember correctly, he would be draft eligible this year. I'm not sure who's there afterwards. I know they just got a 23 commit, and Eli Holstein, something like that. And I mean, DJ kind of seems like, just athletically, is very similar to Bryce Young. And I'm not saying that he can do the exact same things, but with the numbers that you just mentioned, at least with the running game, like Bryce Young was very similar in high school with how he could run the ball, and he still can. Maybe Alabama's a place that would want to target him too, especially if Eli Holstein, the 23 quarterback, and the other quarterbacks on the roster aren't impressing them to the caliber that Bryce Young has been able to do.
Yeah, and I checked. Alabama has offered him, so they're always a threat. Yeah, always a threat. And Bill O'Brien's a good offensive coordinator, so he would do well with him. All right, so we'll move on. This is a guy we've talked about a lot that's coming on campus for his official visit finally, Cole Adams. And I feel like a lot of Sooner fans and a lot of people that are watching this are very happy to hear that name. He's slated to take his official visit this weekend. For anyone that doesn't know, 2023 4-star, number 282 overall, and number 37 wide receiver in the class. 5'10", 180 pounds, out of Wausau, Oklahoma. So, in Oklahoma's, in Oklahoma's backyard. Kind of some backstory. It just, OU's been kind of dragging him along a little bit, not offering him, and they finally offered him last month. Last weekend, he wasn't in town for the Champion Barbecue. He had his Alabama official visit last weekend, and now he has his Oklahoma official visit this weekend. I think he's also interested in LSU. It's like an OU, LSU, Alabama three-way race right now. OU's kind of shot themselves in the foot. It's going to be a lot closer than it should be or should have been, just because of the timeline that they offered in. But they probably had their reasons, and I know they wanted to go up there and see him work out between Levy and Cale Gundy, and I get it. But this guy's like a Wes Welker. I mean, just a versatile guy that plays the slot, can play a little outside, can kick return, punt return, just everywhere. And a great route runner, great hands. But it's good to get him on campus. I mean, I feel like OU offered May 24th. He already had an Alabama official visit set up. Then the following weekend, he's at OU. You didn't see a bunch of Alabama crystal balls after he got done there. I think this is something that OU could win. They just made it a little harder than they probably should have.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that we didn't see any crystal balls come out, in the last few days after his Alabama visit, which I think is, it's got to be a really good thing for Oklahoma. Like you said, the staff was dragging along way too much with this guy. He's talented, he's versatile, he's got the speed. He doesn't fit the mold exactly of the kind of wide receiver they've been going after, being, I believe he's like 5'11", 6 feet tall. And it seems like we're going after 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers. So he's a little shorter, but I mean, just be, that at the end of the day, if you put him in the slot and he has the speed and and is physical enough to take a couple hits, and it's not like he's playing in like 90s, early 2000s football, or even, way before, where a slot receiver's got to be extremely durable or he's going to be broken. Like, he'll be fine at the end of the day, even with his height. I mean, hopefully this visit goes well, and the fact that growing up in Oklahoma, and hopefully he was a Sooner fan growing up, that's enough to kind of put Oklahoma back in the race. I mean, it's also a good thing that he found time to visit. Him and his family found time to visit between after Alabama, and I'm assuming he's got an LSU visit coming up soon. And maybe I have that wrong, but I mean, this weekend is pivotal. Like for his recruitment specifically, I would expect some sort of crystal ball to come out for him after this weekend. If not for Oklahoma, probably for Alabama. It seems like Alabama was the leader before Oklahoma put their names in the hat for him. And I mean, I wouldn't blame them to go to Alabama. They've produced a lot of very good receivers over the last 10 years. So it wouldn't be a bad position for him to be as a player. But, Oklahoma isn't any, it's the same thing. We produce really good receivers over the last few years, and this offense can help his skill set with the RPO situation. A lot of tight ends and slot receivers seem to benefit a lot from that type of offense.
Yeah, I see Cole Adams being the Hunter Renfrow for Brent Venables. Basically, I mean, it's like the same, same height, same stature, same everything. Kind of a little underrated guy that is a key cog of the offense. And you talked about he's not the prototypical mold as far as the size, and that's true. But with OU picking up Jaden Gibson late in the 2022 cycle, getting JJ Hester to transfer in, Gibson 6'5", Hester's like 6'3". LV Bunkley Shelton, he's about 6 feet tall, and then they got a commit out of Keon Brown, who is 6'3", 6'4". So they need some of the smaller guys because Drake Stoops is going to graduate and he's going to be done. So I think while he's a little smaller, couple smaller guys that are fast are definitely needed in this class. I don't think OU should be too concerned. So I would like to think that with him taking an official visit, I think OU could close out this recruitment this summer. I really do think that they could. Whether he commits, the end of this month or not, I don't think so. But I bet before his senior season, I bet he commits one way or another.
I agree. And I mean, maybe he'd be an early enrollee and he wouldn't want to make a decision sometime before football season. It seems like a lot of kids want to be in that situation where they're committed before football season, their senior football season starts. And that way it's just kind of a riding the next 5 months until they have to sign that piece of paper in December.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And I don't blame him. I mean, you can just solely focus on football your senior year. So we'll move on to another guy. We've talked about him a decent amount on this show. He's kind of come up on our radar over the last few months. Nigel Smith. He's in the 2024 class, 6'5", 260-pound defensive lineman. He's currently a 4-star, number 50 overall, number 5 defensive lineman in the class. I will say, I think, with him being in the 24 class, and he's only a 4-star, number 50, I see him getting a 5th star this fall. Or any more camps that they're going to compete in. I see him eventually earning that 5th star here relatively soon by the end of this year. Terrific player, terrific athlete. Sophomore year, he had 20 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. A great guy, great player. He's out of Melissa, Texas, which Melissa, Texas, for anyone that doesn't know, which I'm sure most people watching this podcast have an idea of where Melissa, Texas is. It's in North Texas. It's not far from Norman. He's been on campus now. He's coming up this weekend. He's going to be on campus now. I think this is 3rd or 4th visit since his offer or since earlier this year. This is really a battle. I think it's going to be between OU and Ohio State. He's been a Buckeye, he's been eyeing the Buckeyes for a while now. He's been on campus up there 2 or 3 times, I believe. He went up there for their spring game. And they're going to be hard to beat with Larry Johnson. I mean, they're always going to be tough. But I think what we've talked about in previous episodes, last time we talked about him, it's probably been a while, with him only being down the road. Melissa, Texas is only a few hours away, a few-hour drive from Norman. And it's a lot easier to just get in the car and drive north and go to Norman for a weekend or for a day or 2 or whatever than it is to get up to Columbus. And his family is, I'm assuming mostly in Melissa, Texas, or in the Texas area. They'll be able to watch him play his games here in Oklahoma. I really think OU's in a great spot, and he's been coming up on his own dime unofficially. I think OU is really in a great position. I remember when OU first started recruiting him, I thought it was going to be really hard to push Ohio State, but I'm getting the feeling that OU is neck and neck with them. I'm not saying OU's leading here, but this 2024 defensive line with T.A. Cunningham, David Stone, potentially Nigel Smith, and I mean there's quite a few others. Yeah, and Simmons. I mean, OU is going to be in a great spot. Whether it's Nigel Smith or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like Nigel Smith is more like a more likely candidate than Colin Simmons. That's just my feeling.
Yeah, and just to take like your comment from the top where you said that this guy could get a 5th star this season, for the most part, I feel like when you look at other fan bases and even in the Oklahoma fan base as well, when we see a recruit that our school is targeting, we look at the stars and, some people are like, well, this guy should be a 4-star, or this guy should be a 5-star when they're a 3-star or something. Right. And, it may be valid. Sometimes these recruiting platforms don't get it right all the time, but I feel like they're pretty fair with their ranking system. Like this kid, I think, is just him being a 4-star, just the fact that he is so young. They haven't gotten to see much of him, but I believe so last year he was the unanimous defensive lineman of the year as a sophomore. The year before that, as a freshman, the co-defensive newcomer of the year. It's hard to imagine him taking some sort of step back his junior season where, for the most part, when you're this talented of a football player, your junior season is really the season where coaches are going to 100% be looking at you specifically. Senior season as well, but I mean, I don't know about you, Brump, but I remember when I was in high school, those really talented football players that already had offers and pretty much secured their way to playing D1 football. Senior season was pretty much kind of like I'm pretty much just playing as a formality, just because I kind of have to go to school and then I'll enroll to college later on. So junior year is big time for these guys. And I think it's fair to expect him to get a fifth star sometime this fall because he's got the talent. He's proven it. He would be a big get for the defensive line. And this defensive line, I mean, like you said, we're competing a lot more with in Ohio State, Alabama's, because of Brent Venables and Todd Bates. Those guys are, in my eyes, the sole reason why we are in such great positions to actually get these defensive linemen's commitments, because they've shown that they can develop and put you in a position to be a first, second, third round pick. And at the end of the day, that's what these kids are looking to be. That's their dream, is to be NFL players. And these are the coaches that can put you in that position.
No, I 100% agree. It's Venables and Bates and even Ted Roof to a degree and Chavis have positioned OU to be landing terrific talent along there. And I don't see why they won't land a Nigel Smith and two or three more, and David Stone. I mean, Stone is also someone that, we're not talking about here, but he's back home for the summer, and the reports are that he's going to be making a lot of trips there to Oklahoma quite a few times because he's just right down the road. OU is going to be in a great spot in the 24 class. They're going to do well in the 23, but 24 is going to be incredible. And I think Nigel Smith might be a part of that class. I'm not going to say 100% sure, but I'm just starting to feel like, I mean, if you come to campus, like we were talking about Derek LeBlanc, you show up to campus 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, it becomes really hard to say no. I mean, you got to start to feel like you're at home, because otherwise, if you don't feel like you're home, you wouldn't show up that many times. So,
yep.
I don't know. So with him just coming up again, it's always good to get him on campus. I believe it's like his third unofficial visit, and he's in 24. So he might have 7, 8 visits before he's going to make a decision. So we'll move on to the last guy we're going to be talking about, another defensive line player, Colton Vasek, 6'6", 230 pounds. He's a 4-star, number 174 overall, number 20 edge player in the class. He's from Austin, Texas. He recently put Clemson, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, and Texas Tech in his top 5. Not a surprise that Clemson's there. Seems to be, Dabo and his staff and Venables kind of probably had this somewhat of the same ideas, and Ted Roof was there as well, and Bates. But I know Basic went out to Clemson last weekend for his official visit out there. He's taken an official to Oklahoma this weekend. I believe he's been on campus a handful of times as well. I feel like OU's in a great spot for him. I get the sense that he's not going to go to Texas. I know he put Texas in his top 5, but I feel like he's not going to be a Longhorn, even though he's in their backyard. I might be totally wrong. I know his dad played at Texas. I just feel like for some reason my gut's just telling me he's not going to be a Longhorn. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to hurt for some Texas fans that they're getting put on the same list as probably the worst Texas college football program in Texas Tech. I mean, I'm trying to think right now, like in a Power 5 conference, a worse one. I think TCU has had much better years than Texas Tech in recent memory. So, yeah, it's tough for them. But I mean, yeah, Colton. I think at this point, with a guy like Colton, we just got to hope that Todd Bates can do what Todd Bates does, and show him, hey, I'm the guy to put you in a position to be the best of your ability. And hopefully that's an NFL player. It doesn't work for everyone. Like we've mentioned multiple times, it's only 1% of the D1 college athletes make it to the NFL. So you've got to be the best of the best. And I think Todd Bates can do that for this player and for the defensive lineman. So yeah, I also don't see him being a Longhorn, but I mean, maybe he was a lifelong, Longhorn fan because of his dad playing there. But if Oklahoma's in that list, I have a tough time believing that the fact that his dad went to Texas is swaying any sort of decision. If he was a lifelong Longhorn, I wouldn't expect Oklahoma to be on the list.
I 100% agree. I mean, if you grew up a Longhorn fan, you're not going to visit Oklahoma. I mean, maybe, but I just feel like, at least for me, if I had great abilities like some of these guys do, I would have no interest in Texas at all, just because that's the way I grew up. But yeah, he took a visit to Clemson. He posted some pictures and some videos. Looks like he had a good visit there. He's visiting OU this weekend. And then he's got an official visit to Texas in the middle of the week, June 14th. And then next weekend, June 17th, he's going out to Oregon. It doesn't, according to 247, he doesn't have an official setup with Texas Tech yet. I feel like that official visit middle of the week to the Longhorns, maybe it's because he's been on campus so many times and he's just like, I'm just going to go see what they've got. And, whatever little bit else. I know that campus like the back of my hand, but I wouldn't like a midweek official visit if I were the Longhorns. I mean, I don't feel confident when anyone takes an official visit during the middle of the week. For some reason, I feel a lot better when there's multiple guys there, and a lot of things to do. And, they're kind of in a group and they're hanging out. I know OU had like an official visitor. I forget. It's Cade. I think Cade McIntyre. It was earlier in the middle of this week. I'm not saying it's not it's the end of the world, but I'd much rather have a weekend official visit. What do you think?
Yeah, and it makes it harder, right, for the coaches to give you their 100% full attention because they've got practice to run. They've got to look after their guys that are on the roster at the moment, and they're going to do their best to give you the attention as a recruit, to give them the attention that they want or need. But they've got to do their jobs on the field as well. And maybe it's because he is in Austin that he's okay with taking a middle of the week visit. And like you said, maybe he's been there so many times that the facility isn't the issue. It's the facilities and the campus isn't a big question mark for him. It's more so the position coaches and the coaching staff that he'll be playing for. Again, middle of the week, tough to digest, but like you said, it's not the end of the world. It just makes it harder to accept the possibility of the player being fully interested, because you're right. Like having a weekend visit with all the guys, coming in it makes it more fun. If it's just you and your family, or your family, and maybe one other guy taking it at the same time, I'm sure it's so fun. But if it's you and 10 other highly ranked players that are kind of looking for the same thing and maybe even same position, that scene just seems like it would be way more fun. So, who knows what's happening down there in Texas with his commitment, but like we both said, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up in Texas. Now, Oregon seems like it would be a potential landing spot for him too, just because how Oregon has been recruiting this cycle. They've been doing very well, in my opinion. And I wouldn't expect them to slow down. If the players focused on NIL, they've got the money to back it up. And if the focus of the player is development, Lanning, he just won a national championship with Georgia. It's harder to top. It's hard to top that for most coaches.
Yeah, I do think Oregon could be a landing spot for him. Obviously, he's taking an official out there, and Oregon's doing a great job. I don't know exactly where, but I just get the gut feeling he's not going to be a Longhorn. I don't know. I feel like Clemson has a really, really good shot. There's just something my gut's telling me that Clemson is in a really good spot for him. And OU probably is too. He's coming back on campus again. I hope OU can really sell him on it. I think his decision is going to come before his senior season, because he's taking his officials right now. At least 4 or 5 are being taken. I don't know when Texas Tech is going to be scheduled, or if he's going to take an official visit to Tech. I don't fully understand, because like you said, Tech arguably is the worst Power 5 college football team in the state of Texas. But I will say, I don't know if you looked at that 23 rating or, team recruiting rank. They've got like 20 something commits right now.
Seen that. Yeah. I don't know how they've done it, but man, they've got kids to commit. Maybe it's the coach. I know they just got a new head coach. I can't remember his name, but maybe he's the reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't see them sticking to their commitments, all of them, but I don't know. They got quite a few out there. So I just think Texas Tech is just a bizarre fifth team. So, but that's just a handful of guys. There's going to be a couple more. We just don't have enough time to go through all of them. There's going to be quite a few more that are going to be on campus this weekend, whether it's officially or unofficially. If you want to keep up with everything, follow our Twitter because we're trying to tweet out and quote and retweet as many of the updates that we can get from Twitter that these kids post out. So be sure to find us on there or Facebook, one of the two. We'll do a pretty good job keeping you updated. Jose, do you have an individual challenge since Brandon is not here tonight?
You know what? In honor of the back-to-back national champions and the Oklahoma softball team, in the comment section, put your favorite memory or your favorite play of either this World Series or last World Series, or just their season in general. I mean, they've had an amazing season this year. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see the home run queen anymore, but this team is going to be loaded next year, and hopefully they can make another run at it to three-peat.
If any team could do it, it's going to be Patty Gasso and the ladies that she's got. I'm sure OU's going to get a transfer too and just bring up the young guns, and they're going to be just right back in it because they're young in positions. I mean, TRA Jennings and Coleman, and they're going to be good. So,
dude, sorry, real quick, the home run, I think it was Hansen, whenever in the fifth inning, the face that the pitcher had when that happened, it looked like she was already kind of stressing a little bit because she had two on base. But after that bomb was hit, it just looked the morale of the entire team just went just down the toilet, and it was over.
They knew immediately that it was like, oh gosh, this game we can barely score one or two runs, let alone four.
Yep.
To tie it. Yeah, that face just said everything. They gave it their all for 4 or 5 innings, and then that was it.
Yeah,
they just started figuring them out. It was, I don't know, that team was, I don't know if we're going to ever see another team that's quite like that one. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if we're going to ever have an offense like that, but with Jordy, we've got 4 years of her, so maybe she'll really make it impossible to score against Oklahoma, and we won't even have to score 10 runs to win in some games.
True. So you made it this far, like the video. It helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe to the channel. That helps even more. And then if you want to go all the way, hit the notification bell. Comment. Let us know what you think. Find us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, and Spotify. If you don't want to look at us, everything's linked below. And we will catch you guys on Monday.